When it comes to matching print technology to your design vision and apparel choice for your clothing line, there's a lot of factors to consider. I'm Josh Ellsworth with Stahls TV, and I specialize in helping decorators become educated on different print types that are good for apparel. So as you start to launch your clothing line, or even as you're experienced and look to launch new styles, really the design vision translates to the available print technology and ultimately helps to match to the right apparel choice to make sure everything is compatible, cohesive, and you get a good, completed, finished look. So whenever I'm explaining print technology to people, I like to break it up sort of into categories. There is spot color customization, which basically means we're working with individual colors being built up in layers. Then there's full color customization, which is for most of your digital printing techniques. So if you have something that has color gradients and patterns, or just a high color count, let's say 4 colors or more, this tends to come in handy. And then we get into sewn applications that could be embroidery or applique, and then special effects like rhinestone spangles and whatnot. But the most popular in my mind by far, especially for clothing lines, is the spot color customization. And you really have 3 big technologies that show up under spot color. You have screen printing, which is what we see most often in retail stores on how clothing brands are printing their lines. We see screen printed transfers that come up a lot now, especially for small to mid-sized brands or startups. And then ultimately we have heat transfer vinyl or heat applied film, sort of one and the same, where you're cutting a design on a vinyl cutter. That's an option for spot color and building in layers. When you're starting your line, direct screen printing is a great choice. It has a good overall look, feel. There's certainly plenty of options, and it really allows you to get a high amount of detail in your artwork. As you do go up in colors, you're going to end up paying more screen fees to get your line screen printed or to screen print it yourself, depending on which way you go. If you have a particular design that you have a nice quantity in, this is a good way to get it printed. You're going to love the look and feel, and it works across the majority of the fabric marketplace. Now when we go to screen printed transfers, this is a good choice because it basically gives you the results of your traditional screen printing with the power of just a heat press. And so screen printed transfers can be made for you. Basically, it's ink on paper, and you just finish it off with a heat press on demand. So the beauty of this process is I can decorate practically any fabric as well. I can do high detailed graphics. I'm going to pay more as the color count goes up because this is still under the umbrella of spot color customization, but it keeps me liquid really with my financial assets. I'm not committing all of the decorated pieces like I would have to in screen printing. I wouldn't have to order, all of the pieces decorated. With a screen printed transfer, I order the transfer or the blank shirts, and I commit at the time to order. So it keeps you very lean in your startup, but still gives you that screen print finish. Now, heat transfer vinyl is sort of on its own in that you cut layers of vinyl, weed them, and heat apply them to create your garment. And there's a variety of effects available in heat transfer vinyl, but the concept is it's really for low quantities and customization. So there is weeding involved in cutting, so a little bit more technical knowledge if you want to do it in-house. And as your quantities goes up with a repetitive design, you're not really saving much with this method. But it is a cool look, especially if you're going to do a lot of one-off or low quantity 6-piece, 12-piece shirts or customization. Any personalized item is great for that process. So those are your spot color methods. And then if you happen to have a lot of colors in your design, or gradients or patterns, whatever it might be, photo quality even in the design, you want to look at the full color or the digital output methods. Sort of headlining that list, I would say, is direct garment printing, where you actually have a machine that prints directly onto the t-shirt. Direct garment printing is going to allow you to do any amount of colors, really high detail, but it's pretty much limited to natural fabrics. Yes, you can creep in a little bit of polyester, but by and large, it's ideal for natural fabrics or cotton. So garments with high cotton count, if that matches your line, you have cotton t-shirts, then direct-to-garment printing is a great choice. It can be good for low to mid quantities as well, so it leaves you some freedom of choice there as well. Light or dark fabrics, no problem. Then if I sort of take the next step and I say, yeah, I have a full color result, but it needs to go on 100% polyester or a tri-blend, a synthetic fabric, direct-to-garment's not going to be an optimal choice at that point. You're going to want to look at more of, say, sublimation or print cut digital graphics. And so sublimation is basically where the ink actually dyes into the fabric of the garment, but the key is here it's dyeing the fabric, so the garment itself actually has to be white or light colored for you to be able to see the visual print that you're sublimating. And this is why a lot of apparel factories will do the complete piece cut and sew when it comes to sublimation, but you can certainly do spot sublimation and hit just a front graphic, especially if you're working with 100% polyester or high poly content and white or light colored. Now if it's a dark colored polyester such as an Under Armour shirt or some look and feel like that, it's an athletic inspired feel, then print cut's a good choice. Doesn't allow quite for the free floating detail like splatters and fine text and things like that, like you could get with sublimation or direct-to-garment printing, but certainly gives you that sort of film-based look on the garments, that athletic-inspired look that you see in a lot of sportswear brands. So print cut, you can print and cut heat-applied films. That's how the decorator does it. It can apply to practically any fabric that you could imagine, including fabrics with stretch and recovery, performance wear. It's great for that. Now, a lot of folks will look at inkjet transfers or laser printed, sort of what I call the category of instant transfers for their line. It is a digital technology unless you have a very inexpensive line that you're looking to do just really instant sales on site at events or something like that. This isn't a very durable technology by and large, so I would steer away from the instant inkjet or laser transfers. That's just my professional opinion of it. And then you go into sewn looks and we get into direct embroidery, which of course direct embroidery can be good for low quantities or high quantities. That just depends on the embroidery machinery that's being used and how many heads it has. Without getting into many technical details, this is where you're going to get the sewn look on the garment. Most of us know what embroidery is. And then the next sort of step or progression of embroidery is applique. If you want to actually work with some unique fabrics or trims or something that's sewn onto the garment to create the look, this is called applique. And you can basically experiment with a bunch of different stitch types and applique material types, but it creates an overall great look, but it can really weigh down a t-shirt with applique, so you'd want to reserve it for more like heavyweight cotton garments, particularly prevalent in hooded sweatshirts or crew necks. You start to see a lot of applique effects. And then last but not least, you can get into special effects in just about every one of those categories, but there is the whole segment that's rhinestones. Typically, these are applied with a heat press. You can get different stone colors, and often you see stones not as a standalone design, but combined with screen printing or with a screen printed transfer, sort of mixed media. And you can feel free to, in your design process, combine any of these methods, but this should give you sort of the overarching technology that's out there and available from printers, and really the technology that if you decide to bring printing in-house, some of them are a lot easier to add versus others. For instance, the heat printing is going to be low cost, easy to do, versus screen printing, which is going to be a larger space requirement, training requirement, etc. So hopefully this allows you to match print technology to your apparel brand and your design style. So you want to start your own clothing line? Well, good news, we want to help you. I'm Josh Ellsworth with Stahls TV, and I know heat printing is a viable choice for printing apparel in today's market, especially for startup or online brands. So we've created a complete series of videos right here to help you with everything that you need to consider. Feel free to ask questions in the comments field below, and good luck on starting your own t-shirt business.